Merry Christmas, you filthy animals. If you are watching this the moment I've posted it, or at least the day I've posted it, Merry Christmas. This is my present to you. Sort of. It is a build video. It is a rather tasty one as well, if you've already seen the thumbnail. And it is a second MonsterCross DropBar 26-inch mountain bike. If you're a follower of the channel, you probably saw this build a few videos back. It was my first attempt at ever putting drop bars on a mountain bike. I thought about it loads of times in the past. People have even asked me, will you do it? Can you do it? And I finally got around to doing it. The catch was, as usual, I've built it on a frame that wasn't quite right for that build. I didn't quite like it too much. So I'm now doing it again a few weeks later. So if you are watching this on Christmas Day, perhaps you've just eaten your dinner, perhaps you're about to eat your dinner. No matter what it is, it's time to ignore your family, strap in and watch me build a bike. Let's build a bike. So this is my On1 456 Evo 2. I've built it a few times now, only once actually on this channel, but I've tinkered with it a bunch trying to find out the best build for it, and I still haven't found it. It's a still mountain bike frame. It's quite an aggressive geometry, but it's about time we build something cool with it. First things first is some tyres. Currently I have two different sizes on the bike because they couldn't fit on the frame, so I would like to match these up with some 2.3s. These are called somethings from WTV. I know it's just on the screen, but I didn't read it quick enough. They're about to be back on the screen again. These Vigilante? I'm gonna have to Google it, 1 second. Yeah, they're called Vigilantes. But it was crazy cold and these tyres were extremely hard to take off. Well, that took a hideous amount of time, but the tyres are now on. They're really nice, they're really thick casing, but so thick that I smashed my finger and got blood everywhere, so there's probably blood on things. I also put a cassette on. I don't know what cassette that is. I know it's a 10-speed with a 52 top ring, so it's pretty big, and I think it's been in the shed for a very long time. So, ta-da! Okay, moving on to headset. Obviously going to get some of that anti-seize in there first before I put any aluminium parts in steel frames for sure. And as always, don't forget you get 20% off on Juice Lubes using code SecondLifeBikes. Don't forget that, very important. Not really sure what happened there, but I seem to have lost a clip. Essentially these two cups are now pressed into the frame. We can now use some more bearing juice and get the headset all put into place and add a fork. Now I'm lucky enough to have a couple of brands help me with this build. First of all, Redshift were lovely enough to support us with some cockpit bits, including the stem and the bar. This is a suspension stem as well. You can see the measurements I'm using here on the screen. So it has a little bit of give, essentially, smoothens out the ride whilst you're riding. Now it does this in a really clever way using a pivot and some elastomers inside the actual stem itself, and depending on your weight and size, essentially you can change these elastomers out to kind of change and adjust the amount of squishiness the stem gives you. Now before we look at those elastomers, let's sort out this steerer. And I know what you're thinking, what on earth are you doing with all those spaces? Essentially this fork is quite long and I like it and it fits perfectly on one of my other frames. I don't really want to cut it, so this was kind of a way to build it up with this fork just to see what goes on, and then we may change stuff later on. And that top cap there also was supplied by the lovely dudes over at Hex. Very cool custom made stems here in, stem caps here in the UK. Very cool stuff. Now before I did anything else, I wanted to grab the wheels and get them on, especially when I was putting the bars on. I wanted to be able to put the bike on the floor to kind of like measure things up. I'm not sure why it was so hard to get that first wheel on, but it was. For the bar itself, we're using this top shelf handlebar, which is going to add to the ridiculousness of my my steer at the moment. But the reason I wanted to use the top shelf was because it gives you essentially a rise on a drop bar, which is super cool. One, that's going to make your ride way more comfortable, and if you're someone like myself who rides bloody retro mountain bike frames that are never the right size, it's going to help you find that size or make it be that size. You know what I'm saying, right? So to change the elastomers on your stem, you take the full bolts out to start with, and then you'll see there's a little extra bolt just here that you remove this bit, and this black bit that wedges the elastomers in comes out, and then you can replace it with the correct elastomers that you want to use on the stem. For me, as we know, I'm quite the bulky boy, so I went for the max amount, which is black on the left hand side or the right hand drive side, depending on how you're looking at it. Like this, black then yellow. It is quite firm now, and I may reduce it slightly just for funsies and to get it a bit more squishy, because squishy's fun. But yeah, as simple as that, and then you can basically reinstall the black part that wedges it all in place, and that's it. As simple as that. Really, really straightforward. It was one of the things I was slightly concerned about, that it'd be really fiddly and annoying and you'd never want to do it ever again. But if you do want to put the wedges, the elastomers in, take it for a few rides and then change them, it's not a big deal. It's super, super easy to do. The bars go on, well, they'll go on like bars, very straightforward. I'm very, very excited to try these out properly. Apart from the fact that they have that rise, they also have that middle bit where you can like put lights and bike computers or whatever else. I think it's actually quite a sick little idea. So yeah, very excited to try these out properly. Don't quote me, I can't remember exactly. I want to say this seat post is 31.9, something like that, which I have knocking about somewhere, but I can't find it. I may actually have a seat. I think I have a dropper post at that size, but also wasn't too sure about this. But as you can see, I have found the Charmed chopstick in purple, which I think looks sick, and I happen to have a shim that made it work. So that's what's happening. What saddle shall I use? Yep, that's the one. I've said it once and I'll say it again. This is the best seat post on the market, although it's not on the market anymore. I can't find them anywhere. If you know of one that's similar, I need to know. But essentially, it's just one single bolt. You twist the bolt, you put the seat in, and then you nip it back up. Like, usually this is the sort of thing that I'd cut a little bit because it's boring, it takes ages, but like that's seriously how long it takes. It's incredible. If I had enough money, I'd bloody manufacture these things and they'd be sick, and I'd release them in all silly sizes of retro bikes and stuff. On to my next new friend who helped me out with this build is Wheeltop. They sent me their new EDS GEX Groupset, which is their electric drop bar group set, but it's very gravel specific. The last one they sent me was road. It was all carbon, super light and stuff, but probably wouldn't take much of a beating, where this thing, way more rugged. It's going to take all the beatings we need it to take, and it's just more cut out for this type of riding, so it's ideal. Somehow lost another shot here, but I've got the hoods on. They're not in the right position, as you can see, but it's just temporarily, just to make sure everything's working, and just like that it starts moving around. Obviously I shouldn't do that right now because the chain's not on and it's going to get jammed up. It is fun though. Scenery change now as we head over to Stayer Cycles, because I needed to do some other things over there, so I moved the whole build there, which is just what I do these days. Annoyingly, the BB that I planned to use was too short. I really wanted to do square taper on this build because of the cranks I wanted to put on, but they just didn't fit. Sam did happen to have this BB in there, so I did try this one, which is longer, but the frame itself doesn't have a lot of clearance for chain rings, so it still wasn't long enough, and I couldn't fit this crank on there that I wanted to, which is a 38 tooth chainring, FYI. So I had to go back to the drawing board. Now, I don't often share the way the bike looks but until we're right at the end of the video, but this one's kind of special. It was coming out way better than I expected. I actually messaged a couple of people, like photos of this bike at this stage to show how it looked, because I needed to show someone. But I came to a conclusion that this thing was not safe for work. It was the sort of bikes that you see on the internet where it's just filth. It's so good. I genuinely, I really love it. Which brings me on to the perfect segue of the long-awaited new sticker, the Not Safe for Work sticker. I ordered these absolutely ages ago, but they finally arrived and they're now available on the website. You know where to go, it's saveoldbikes.com. If you saw my video a few days ago, my conclusion for the year, you saw that I've also restocked the warning stickers and the polished turd stickers and a few others. There's a new Save Old Bike sticker. There's basically loads of stuff for the first time in ages. So some of it's still available, but this one is only available from today. So there's loads of these. So if you're interested, head over to saveoldbikes.com. As always, it helps me out so much and I appreciate you guys a lot. Moving back to the build, we need to get these hoses plumbed in on the actual brakes themselves. Now the hoses ended up being a bit of a pain. I thought they'd be long enough. I measured them on the other bike thinking it would be fine because it's only slightly longer, but it's not in reality. So it ended up being a bit of a pain. So I tried a few things to try and make it work. Like I even switched the hoses around. So the right was on the left and left and right, basically the opposite round, or the right way round if you're in the States. But it still wasn't quite long enough. In reflection, or on reflection, now I've thought about it, once I bring that stem down a little bit, they'll probably be absolutely fine, but we'll get to that again in a minute. Now you may have saw recently that I redid some bits on the MTB, including taking this Middleburn crank off. I stuck this on to the on one and it fit perfectly, like way better than it even fit on the actual MTB, to be honest. So well happy about that. This is me still not sure about the hose lengths, but if you look at the stack on this, and you'll see in a minute, like it's too high. So once I bring that down, it should be absolutely fine. But when I did it, I was knackered, if I'm really honest, and I didn't think it through. Now looking at it, it's obviously just bring it down a couple of spaces and there'll probably be enough slack. So you're probably starting to realise at this stage that I'm probably not going to finish this build in this video, but we do need to get the chain on, that is for sure. For the pedals, they are DMR V8s, but they're like the classic ones, so a couple extra star points there. So, spoiler, I don't know if anyone knew this, I film everything on my phone. I don't use big professional cameras because the one in my pocket's good enough. So to actually set this derailleur up properly, I couldn't actually do it on film. But essentially there is an app that comes with the derailleur, and you can essentially trim it on there. It works really well, it's pretty simple to do, but it's hard to show you that whilst I'm doing this. I'll work out a way and adjust it and show you sometime, but you can do the limiting screws, which is what I'm messing about with here. Now, unfortunately, that is about all I was able to do. There's a couple of things that are quite obviously need to be sorted out, which is the hydraulic hoses. That's the only reason I stopped at this point. At this point, I was still adamant that I needed to order some more cables, but if you look the way that I'm on this bike, there's loads of room for me to go down on it. So I will adjust the stem, I think, and then hopefully the hose will be fine. If not, I've ordered some. It should be here just after Christmas. I suppose the last thing for us to do really is go have a look at it. Oh, I don't need to tell you how close we are to finishing this bike. Like, I was so frustrated not finishing it. I planned to finish it completely and have it ready and probably ridden and all that sort of stuff, but it didn't happen. Sometimes these things don't happen. The big eyesores right now are obviously the stack on the steerer. Now looking at it a few times, looking at the footage of me on it and stuff, like, I can come down loads. And I remember when I actually was on it, it didn't feel right at all. It felt big, and I think it was just the height of it. It was a little bit too high, so I can bring that down. I do have a different thought that I might put in there though, simply being the fact that I don't really want to chop this steerer. We'll see. I may change my mind when I actually come to it, so we'll find out. The other thing, of course, is the hoses as well. I think once I've messed with that, they might be okay, but I have ordered some, so no matter what, I'll be able to bring that in. And then the last thing is the fact that essentially is the bar tape. That's all that I need to do. Redshift did also send me their bar end grips, and some extra long tape, so it'll be quite fun to try that out. And I think that's about it. Massive shout out to Redshift, Wheeltop and Hex for the components for this build. They really are the cherries on tops, and if it wasn't for Wheeltop and Redshift, it wouldn't be much of a bike. But I hope everybody had a really good Christmas. Thank you for watching this, especially if you did watch it on Christmas Day. That's awesome. I really do appreciate that. We're probably not going to have any more videos now until the new year. But if you can't wait for that, we do make videos every single week, and we have a big back catalogue now of videos that you need to go and check out. So if you haven't checked them out, firstly, make sure you go and hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot, and it's absolutely free. And then go and check out that one. That one's a particularly good one.